Is the proportion of head injuries in boxing different from that in MMA? Formulated by Mr. Funcia and Mr. Hawkins.
Mr. Funcia here with our problem statement is there a difference in the proportion of head injuries between boxing and MMA? Do injury patterns vary significantly between the two sports? And if so, findings could impact athlete safety policies and training practices.
The description of population and sample. Population, all professional boxing and MMA matches with reported head injuries or concussions. The sample is a selected number of documented fights from both sports, each coded for head injury occurrence. The sampling technique we use a random sample of fight records to reduce bias and ensure representatives.
We'll get straight into our data. We collected data from 100 total fights, 50 of which were boxing and 50 of which were MMA. For the boxing, 4 had concussions, and for the MMA, 12 had concussions. The proportions for boxing were 0.08 and for MMA, 0.24. Standard deviation of those proportions was 0.073. And as you can see, we have a beautiful pie chart representing our data.
For phantoms, we are going to go straight in with an 2-prop Z-test. Will be conducted at the 5% significance level to determine if the proportion of fight results and concussions differ between boxing and MMA. We are testing if the difference in population proportions is statistically significant or could be due to random variation.
Let's get straight into it. So our p-hat was 0.16. For our h-naught, we had it as no difference in proportions, and for my HA, it was P1 is not equal to P2. So to test the conditions, we had to do independent random samples, make sure the sample sizes are large enough, and then make sure it was normal.
For our N, we had a 2-prop Z-test, and for our T, our Z value is equal to negative 2.18. Our O showed how our p-value was approximate to 0.028, and our M showed that since the p-value 0.028 is less than the significance level of 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis. There is significant evidence to suggest that the proportion of head injuries in boxing is significantly different from that in MMA.
Although very far and few between, we'll get into the weaknesses of our project. One was that the sample size of 50 is a bit too small for each group. Second, the normality. Whilst assessing conditions, one of our N1 times P1 was less than 10. And for our sampling, in our sample, we didn't determine if a fighter had ever had a head injury prior.
For our discussion, for extrapolating, 0, since we only observed a sample of 50 boxing and 50 MMA fights, we can only generalize our findings to fights similar in setting, time, and level. We cannot generalize these results to all boxing or MMA matches worldwide or at different levels of competition. Suggestions, well, 0, while 50 fights per group provided enough data to detect a significant difference, a larger sample would reduce variability and increase confidence in the results. Another improvement would be to consider other variables like fight length or fighter experience / past health conditions to better understand what contributes to concussion rates.
Now for our conclusion, since the p-value is less than the significance level, we rejected the null hypothesis. This suggests that there is a statistically significant difference in the proportion of concussions between boxing and MMA. We have evidence that fighters in MMA experience head injuries at a higher rate than those in boxing, based on this sample. Thank you.